Hello, good evening. We're live, we're back, and usual service is resumed. Thank you to everyone who watched along with the pre-recorded episode with Key and Harry's on Friday. Thank you for all the feedback we had as well. We really do appreciate it, and it is in the process of being passed on because there were lots of really nice comments about Kian and the stories he told. We very much enjoyed recording it, and we're glad so many of you enjoyed watching it. Before we say hello to tonight's panel on what is an episode full of things to talk about, let's roll the titles.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling in love with.
And as we say hello to the panel, good evening to Phil, who's the first one throwing in a comment via YouTube there. Let's say hello first off to Warren. Good evening, pal.
Evening, Fifey. How you doing, mate?
Very well, thank you, sir. Yourself?
Very good, thank you very much. Looking forward to another good show.
I have noticed, having my screen next to yours, just how bright my light is shining on me right now. Hang on. Let me turn that down a bit. That was very bright.
Not like you to want the limelight, Fifey.
No, listen, I know my place. I'm the guy that presses the buttons and nothing more. You guys are the stars of this show. Next up, let's say hello to the man who's already recorded about 7 different podcasts today. Good evening, Ben.
Hello, Fifey. Hello, Wazza. How are you all doing today?
Yeah, very well, thank you. In all seriousness, you were on the Stevenage Borough podcast today, weren't you? How was that?
Yeah, no, great fun. I got a little message early this morning, just said if I was free this afternoon and if I had about 15 minutes to spare, so I jumped on, had a little chat about the weekend's game and a little preview, and it was all good, all fun. It's going to be out on Thursday or Friday. If anyone wants to have a little watch, I'll give it a retweet. We
will be sure to share that as well. Next up, fans of all ages will be delighted to see back live on your screens is young Nick. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Fifey, yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. You're obviously part of the panel, like myself and Ben, that got to spend time with Kian. You enjoy that?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, really good, really good evening. So it is spot on.
There's nothing quite like being live with everyone watching and being able to join in with a conversation, though, is there?
Absolutely, yeah. So hopefully tonight will be far more entertaining than Saturday was.
Next up, we go from young Nick to even younger Rich. How are you, pal? Oh, no, the youngster's got the technical difficulty. He's not going to be happy. Rich, can you hear us?
I'm good, by the way,
there
guys. I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you at the moment, Fifey, so I'm just going to leave and then come back again. Okay,
we can hear you fine. Let's see if someone who's a bit more famous for his technical difficulties is okay this evening. Good evening, Woody.
Good evening. I am having technical difficulties. My headphones are not working. So I've got no idea. Won't connect. So I'm going to try and not give feedback to everybody. But yeah, how are we all? We all good?
Very, very well, thank you. Is that any better, Rich?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know what it was.
Excellent. And last but certainly not least, let's say hello and good evening to Ned.
Hello, Lord F.R.I, and good morrow, one and all.
How are you, buddy?
Hello,
Yeah,
Ned.
not too bad, not too bad. Oh, Ben.
It's an absolute joy to have all of you on this evening on what is a night of many, many talking points. But there really is only one place to start. And I would like to throw this straight over to Warren. The news today regarding the club's debts. We usually start with the game review, but after the announcement this afternoon, it seems the best place to start, I think.
It can only be good news for the club, can't it? It shows that it's been. Surely this has got to put any doubt in people's minds about Clem and what he's doing with the club. Surely people have got to sit and look at this story that's come out today and think, well, it's only going in the right direction. A lot of football clubs all have debt. We all know that, but we're clearing them off, and this is the main thing. There's always been a lot of hidden, things in the club that we don't know about. And with this board, they've definitely been a lot more transparent with all of this side. And it's just great news. It shows that we're going in the right direction on and off the pitch. And yeah, it can only be a good thing.
Absolutely. Sorry, I would normally just throw this in the private chat, but can anyone else hear something coming from, like a scratching noise now?
It's Rich putting on his headphones.
Yeah, it's
it's
his headphones on.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't get my AirPods to connect at all, so I just had to stick my headphones on.
Look, he's eating them.
Ned, there are lots of times in football, you'll hear the sort of that's a statement signing or a statement victory, but the announcement today really is a statement of intent, isn't it?
Absolutely. And as Warren said, my God, if this doesn't shut up all the naysayers, then God only knows what it's going to take. But yeah, it's massive. It was several £1 million. Was that? I understand that you paid off. Is that right? Jeez Louise.
7.5 million. Yeah.
If that isn't commitment to the cause, then God knows what is. Obviously he's very much put his money where his mouth is now. So let's just let's do our part. Let's go.
And Nick, you've obviously, without wishing this probably to sound the way it will, you've been around a long time. You've seen a lot of Swindon Town. This is a massive moment, isn't it?
Certainly is, and I hope, going on from what Ned just said, that the town and supporters really get behind the club now. We should be getting bigger gates than we're getting. I mean, I can go back to the days when 17,000 was a poor gate. You'd have 18, 19, 20,000 crammed in there. Obviously, safety rules are different nowadays, but we should be getting well in excess of 10,000 every week. So I hope that if the club start pushing it in, get the message out across the town in the surrounding areas, we start increasing our gates, because the commitment is there from Clem and everybody else. So yeah, let's all crack on and support the club. And the only way is up now, so it's absolutely fantastic.
And if I've learned anything from Soccer Manager or from Championship Manager, we can get at least 26,000. So just bear that in mind.
How many times did you have to spend 79p to get your ground capacity to that much, Ned?
No comment.
There just seems to be massive statement after massive statement, like week after week at the moment, doesn't there?
Yeah, and I think, fair play to most of the Swindon fans as well, because we have played the patient game. I think some of this a lot of fans might have expected to happen last season, but it didn't, and we were patient. And it all comes from just good, kind of good business minds, really, because I know that Clem was probably just ringing people up and going, right, we can't pay this off now, but I can give you 10 grand now, type thing, and he's just done it slowly and chopped it slowly like that. And I think, what is it, we're on $1 million now, and you look at, I think the majority of that's the EFL loan, so it's and then there's the other 300k that we're currently debating. So it is a level of good news. I think we need to be very careful, and I don't want to be a downer, but we need to be very careful not to get too carried away, because we know what Swindon fans can be like. We get a bit of good news, and then we think we're going to be Premiership in 5 years. But I think,
Are you saying we're not going to be?
No, we're not going to be. I could tell you that. Sorry. I'm not going to be.
I'm sorry, all the positivity of this podcast, but we might as well just cut it there because it's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen in 5 years. I'm not ruling out in 6. But
that's okay then. I'll give you the extra one.
But no, it is good to see, and it is, every football club has debt. There's not many football clubs that are in the positive. Even the massive clubs are. Well, we all hear about how much debt Man United are in and things like that. But they keep a good debt. Sometimes it's good to have a debt because that keeps your credit rating going and all of that kind of stuff. So
that's what I tell my bank manager anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm still waiting, for my interest rates to go down. But yeah, so having a debt is not necessarily a bad thing, and I think we need to remember that. But if we're keeping it below £1 million in League Two, I'm happy, and as long as we can someone mute Mike. But yeah, I'm well chuffed with the fact that we've got to this stage already, and it's not even January yet. I was almost kind of expecting this to all come out towards the end of the season. So yeah, fair play, and that probably did contribute towards the stuff that came out last week.
No, absolutely. Rich, let's come to you next. You kind of broke the news to me. You saw it a lot quicker than I did and shared it in our group. How did you react when you first read it?
Yeah, like the boys have all just said, it's nothing but positive, really. It's fantastic to see, but I'm also with Woody. I think it's something that we can't really get too over. We've got to be very careful. We've got to be level-headed. It's not going to be like, oh, we're going to sign £5 million players now.
What, we're not?
No, we're not.
What is with everyone being so negative?
Too realistic for this pod, Rich.
We might get £5 million for Wakeling in a few years. Who knows? If the way he keeps on going, but yeah, no, absolutely. But again, I think people that was doubting this whole ownership thing, hopefully that does put a few doubts back down again. I think a few weeks ago, a lot of people were having a few concerns about Clem and stuff like that. I'm not sure where they were coming out from, but they were coming from really stupid external sources. So thankfully, none of those rumours were true or anything like that. It was just people stirring it up. But I'm glad that he did what he did last week, and he was like he said, he was open and transparent from what we believe. We had one of our Force Russian members representing us at that thing last week. So what's Woody putting?
I don't know, but it might be what I'm about to read out from Twitter.
Right.
I think someone is showing Woody a bit of love, and he's not used to it, so now he's bragging.
Wish somebody would show me some love. I'm joking. I don't want it. I get it from you guys anyway. But yeah, no, genuinely though, yeah, it's great to see that the club are keeping by their promise and being open and transparent by it, and the fact that they have now come out now and they've kept their promise by saying that they were going to give us an update in terms of the debentures prehistorically that were still within the club this week, and they have done that, and it's only Monday, so who knows, we might get some more news later in the week. Who knows? I don't know about what, but
it's never enough for you, is it, Rich? You always want more.
I mean, I think every Swindon fan, we want more, don't we? But I think we need to keep that patience as well. Obviously, it can all switch on its head within a matter of seconds. So I think we've got to be careful, humble, and just keep on going and supporting our club as best we can and supporting Clem.
Well, if ever there was someone you want around when there's this sort of good news, it's possibly the most optimistic man to ever bleed red and white. So what I'm going to do is make Ben wait that little bit longer while I read out what Woody was showing. Michelle's commented on Twitter, Woody is spot on. We are very good for saying HMS Pistol League. We are far from it, but small steps, and this achievement today is absolutely brilliant. Those who slated Clem, some may need to eat a piece of humble pie in her eyes. Do you understand that sentiment, Ben, and do you agree wholeheartedly with it?
Yeah, I do. I do exactly. It means the decks are clean. We've never been in this position as long as that I can remember. The club has always had the dark clouds of financial ruin hanging around somewhere. Even when we were loaded.
Not that you like hyperbole
it's
or sensationalism at all, Ben.
yeah, exactly that, exactly that. But the club's history is steep with financial issues, and those days looks as though that we're coming out the other side, and we're coming out unscathed. We're probably one of the most comfortable lower league teams financially around now. It just means the club is going to be self-sustaining. All the money that coming into the club will be spent on the club. That's all we ask. It's not going to be taken out. It's not going to be spent externally. It's going to be spent on the club. So go out, buy your season tickets, buy your match tickets, buy your merch, because the money that you put in is going back into the club. Brilliant.
This, hearing Ben say it that way, it fills me with a certain level of happiness, but also apprehension. I'll throw this out to any of you. When clubs are seen to be in that position, pardon me if I'm paraphrasing what you've just said wrong here, Ben, but you've said we are in one of the best positions of lower league clubs financially. Does that bring about it a certain level of pressure and expectation as well for something that's not necessarily controllable on the pitch? You know, what happens on the pitch from, say, tomorrow is irrelevant for how much debt has been cleared today, but it'll still bring a certain level of expectation.
There's always going to be expectation in Swindon Town at this level, because for Swindon Town and our fans will demand us to be towards the top end of the league and competing. So whether with the debts with us or not, I expect us to be challenging in League Two. In League One, I expect us to be competitive at least. So the pressure's always there anyway. So, but we're better to deal with it now. We've not got HMRMC, whatever, taxman off our back. Not
easy for you to say. Yeah. Is there anything else anyone wants to add to this before we look back at the weekend's game? Anyone want to add anything else to what anyone else has said? Excellent. Let's move on then, and as is customary, let's start with Rich. And defeat, something that we've not been used to for a little while.
Yeah, obviously, I think the most important thing was obviously that Lindsay did get a run of results. I think we weren't always going to have that consistent flow of games. We weren't going to win every game towards the end of the season. We knew we were going to be up against a tough game against Northampton, even with them without Sam Hoskins. They are a good footballing side on Northampton. Was probably the most boring first half I've seen in quite a while. I just didn't feel as if the game really got going, to be quite honest with you. Nobody really had an opportunity. It's tough. I mean, good football inside. I mean, maybe that wasn't the right words, to be honest with you. But put it this way, they're always a threat whenever it comes to. And that's why they're always up there. That's why they've got certain things that's going to get them promoted. So, you know, it's a bit of a shame. But I thought we started off the second half really, really well. I felt as if that we deserved our goal. And unfortunately, it was two stupid mistakes that really cost us in the end. I don't know what Blake Tracy was actually doing for that first goal to give away the free kick. And then the second one, well, I'm not sure really who to blame, but I think we have to harsh to blame Ellis. I mean, it was his first game back and everything like that. He's been out for such a long time, but you know, I think we can certainly take some positives from that game. And I feel as if that we can hopefully get back on track with tomorrow and Stevenage on Saturday. So fingers crossed.
There are individual little quirks that I love about each and every one of you when you're on live, and the fact that Rich still can't read and talk at the same time makes me laugh. It is superb value.
I can never do two things at once. Well, no, that's not true. Actually, that isn't true. But most things, when it comes to reading and writing, I probably can't do very well. So,
Ben, Rich mentioned there about Blake Tracy. I know you want to have your say on that particular aspect.
Yeah, I think what impressed me about Northampton was their discipline. I think they came in, they play that sort of game every single week. They're no frills, and they knew exactly how they were going to take us on. They've not got many maverick players. They're not going to out football us, but what they will do is every man will work together and they'll work for each other. And they didn't give us an inch the first half. They just didn't let us have anything. They offered nothing going forward, really, for most part of the game. But defensively, they've kept it short. And then after you work so hard for an hour, probing away and chipping away and finally get the breakthrough, we did something that they would never do, absolutely never do. And Stevenage won't do this weekend. For a ball that was just drifting out for a goal kick, for no inexplicable reason, Blake Tracy diverted his run to cut off the strike. It was just like a little cheeky shoulder. Probably thought he'd get away with it. The ball wasn't doing anything. It was just let him know he was there. And we give the free kick merchants of League Two, who are out of the game, you know, Swindon were on top at the time, and they didn't look like they were going to get back in. Opportunity to whip a ball in from 25 yards out from the edge of the box with the wind behind them. They were going to score, aren't they? And the game turned a little bit from there. Like the 600 limbs went off, more relief than anything, because we were winning that game until then. But it's a shame, but it happens. I think you just need to learn from that and just be a bit more disciplined. And that's probably why they're second in the league and we're 10th, because, you know, they just get their concentration levels are a lot better. Kudos to them. They're a good team and they'll be up there at the end of the season.
Ned, I think what Ben says there is crucial, isn't it? It's not the fact that we lost, it's how we react now.
Yeah, indeed. And we've got some fixtures coming up, which is certainly winnable. Newport, Colchester, Hartlepool. So, yeah, it's important that we put this behind us.
Bradford, Mansfield, Stevenage.
let's not go too far in the future. But you know, there's certainly some winnable games. So you know, it's not the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know what the correct phrase is, but it's incredibly frustrating. You know, as Ben was saying, you know, we finally took the lead after Northampton offered nothing, sort of going forward. And then all of a sudden they just kicked on immediately afterwards, didn't they? And it's just frustrating. We didn't seem to have an answer. But yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes, isn't it? But yeah, I've got every confidence that we can kick on again. I mean, some of our draws have seemed like losses in the past. So I don't think it's going to be that hard to turn it around. So yeah, come on. Well, we'll be fine.
Inject that bit of positivity.
Oh,
Ned. Between us, we've named 6 fixtures there. We getting what? You said 3 wins. That's 9 points. If we draw the other 3, 12 points from those 6 games.
Yeah. What do you reckon about Stevenage? That's another. I'm not confident on 6 points.
That's a conversation for Friday, but we'll win that because I'm going.
Well, yeah, okay. But I'm not convinced about your. There is obviously a whipping boy amongst the future fixtures, and that's Tranmere, isn't it, Nick? I mean, they're not very good at all, are they?
No, not at
all. Let's Warren. Let's go back to the game on Saturday then. Another goal for Williams. He's got a couple already this season, and we were talking off camera about what a loss he's likely to be when he goes to World Cup. So it's important we get the best out of him for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we need to. I think he's going to be a big miss. I thought he was the only sort of bright light on Saturday for me, trying to make things happen. I don't think we were nowhere near at our best. I know we can keep saying that Northampton were really good, and you know, I mean, I think I think Ben said they're good at what they do. You know, I mean, they weren't a side that I would think, oh wow, I think they could get undone by quite a few teams in this league. They've just got very clever, very experienced players that just knew how to deal with the situation. They didn't panic. But for us, I just don't think we did enough. Jeff Cott didn't get in the game. We had this conversation on the last pod when we were previewing, and I think we should have gone Wakeling down the middle. I don't think Jeff Cott was trying to go up against these centre halves, and he was getting nothing out of them. You know what I mean? I feel like we needed to get a bit of energy around them, a bit of buzz around them, because that's how you play against big centre halves, balls down the side. I think we missed Khan massively. Do you know what I mean? A bit of energy in the middle of the park as well. I think we lacked. As much as we say Northampton were good, I just don't think we were at the races. I don't think we deserved to lose the game. I think a draw would have been a fair result. But we're going to miss Williams's creativity, and I think a lot of people have criticised that Williams sometimes doesn't do enough. But I think over that longer stretch, when if he does go with Wales, which it looks like he will, I think people are going to realise what he offers and the quality that he gives us. Because for me, I think he's our best player, in my opinion, and you know what I mean, we are going to miss him. But it's important, like you say, now into the lead up into the games that we've got to try and pick up some points. But yeah, we can write Saturday off as that we weren't at it. We weren't at our best. We could have got a draw out of it. But it balances itself out through the seasons. There's been some games where maybe we thought we didn't deserve to win and we've nicked it. So, you know what I mean? It balances itself out at the end of the season. So, yeah, write it off. But massive reaction needed tomorrow, and we need the big 3 points tomorrow.
Nick, you were there. What were your thoughts?
My thoughts were it is a horrible, horrible day watching that football. I'll start on a positive though. The only positive I had from the day was as we were going into the Arkles, my lad was in front of me, and he suddenly shouted out, "He used to play for City, but he's all right now." And I thought, what the fuck's he on about? And Christian Roberts was just coming back down the steps, so it was good to have a quick chat with him, shake his hands, and that was the highlight of my day. I disagree with some of the things that have been said. We got absolutely what we deserved from that game, and we got nothing. I think that's the worst performance I've seen all season. I wouldn't give any player higher than a 5 rating. I thought we were all terrible. Our passing was abysmal. The times we gave the ball away, we gifted them chances that they didn't take. They could have had a penalty in the first half. Not sure. It was probably a 50-50. We didn't do anything. I felt for Jepcott. He had absolutely no service. And I hope Lindsay ripped the hell out of them after that game, because they did everything to the opposite that he's been talking about. He's talking about, yeah, we weren't getting crosses in like we should have been, and we didn't on Saturday. He said we didn't get shots away when we could have done, and we had the opportunity to shoot, and we didn't. And, you know, as much as we have a go at the likes of Shade, get the opportunity, he shoots, scores a crap goal, but he shoots and it goes in. We didn't do that Saturday. I thought we were absolutely terrible. And he said their goal from the free kick, our line was too deep. Well, that's down to McDonald. He's the captain. He's the centre half. He's organising it. We practice all week on defending, and we give away a crap goal like that. Just the whole day was horrible. And they are a horrible team. They stalled us from minute one. We couldn't get any fluidity going. They did their job in what they're good at, like the guys have said. And that's the football bit. And to top it all, I went to the kiosk to buy a steak pasty, and they give me fucking chicken in leek. So that pissed off my day.
I got a chicken and leek. I got a chicken and leek at the weekend. Actually, to be fair, it was really nice. So
yeah, it was nice, but I wanted a fucking steak one.
I quite like chicken and leek, I just say.
Love chicken.
So that's my take on it. So I wasn't happy. I very rarely get really pissed off after a game, but that was one to forget.
Woody, there was some question marks over some of the substitutions, the timings of them, who they were. I suppose these things are always going to happen. It seems we're obviously a lot more conscious of it, but it always seems to be when Swindon don't get the result, the first thing to do is, oh well, it's like the manager's fault because of the substitutions or something. You know, you'd think Swindon fans would be used to losing the odd game from time to time.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure how I follow on from Nick's round there, to be totally honest. But I'm trying to remember the subs now. What was it? Jeff Cott came off because he was injured.
There was a lot of criticism for the Reed one online.
Yeah, but he was the fourth official had been whispering in his ear all day. He was 2 minutes away from being sent off.
Yeah.
You know, I said because when Reed went off, me and the guy that was sat behind me, we both went. You know, he has literally been going like that in the ref's ear all day, and we've seen it this season. How quickly refs will make a decision on sending offs. And you know, Lindsay said in his post match, he said the fourth official had been in his ear, and he had, you know, he'd been saying that he's close to being sent off with the way he's carrying on. But equally, my general opinion on it, I don't think Reed was massively effective in the game anyway. To be totally honest, I think I'm not as critical as Nick was, but I do think it was a pretty bad performance, and they came and did what they needed to do. You know, Northampton have always been like that, and the one time we managed to stop it was when we thrashed them in was it January, I think it was, or February. You know, so. But this win streak, like you say, this undefeated streak was going to come to an end at some stage. It's just a shame. I think it was what I'm hoping it's not one game too early. And to match it all off, you know, I get taken out onto the pitch at half time and then get absolutely soaked by the fucking sprinklers. So I spent the whole second half just absolutely soaked. But no, you know, it's we didn't play very well when Northampton game plan did what they've been doing all season, and as I think it was Ben said, they're good at doing that. It doesn't look nice. It's a horrible game to watch, but you know, at the end of the day, could we take a little bit of a leaf out of that? They're just trying to get out of this league. You know, they've been so close so many times over the last 5 years. Now they're just trying to do it all big and dirty to try and get out. Did we make any more subs after Jeff Cott and?
I think Clayton was the other one.
Yeah, he was.
And did McDonald?
McDonald didn't come off, but he was holding his arm, obviously, at the end of the game.
Badly injured, I believe. But the but I'm assuming all of them were made with Tuesday in mind as well. You know, we've got to bear that in. You know, Reedy had a couple of games off. Williams, you know, he played 90 if I remember rightly, didn't he? He played 90. I mean, I agree with Wazza. I think Williams was our best player on the day. I just think when we got into those attacking thirds, we just didn't bloody do anything, and that really frustrated me. Probably similar to Nick in terms of, you know, we weren't shooting from outside the area, but we weren't providing anything into the area either. You know, Jeff Cott didn't stand a chance. Yeah. But yeah, maybe we needed a bit of someone like Wakelin in the middle to be a bit of a pest, because I think when he did move Wakelin into the middle, it was almost too late in some ways because Wakelin was tiring. And, you know, I don't know about anybody else, but I had a little bit of a heart attack when Wakelin went down injured in the first half. And, you know, he kind of did the splits and he just went holding his hammy for ages. I was like, he's got a bit of a contract curse there, isn't he? A new contract curse. But if we pick it up tomorrow night, I don't think it's going to be a big issue. I think it's a game that's gone. If we don't win tomorrow night, I'm afraid to say that I think I'm not Lindsay out, definitely not. But the concerns will start. The concerns will start to come back in the fan base again. That's the problem. You know, not necessarily us or me, but they will start to creep back in. We have to react. We have to play better, and we have to win tomorrow night, in my opinion. Newport are fucking dire at the moment, so let's take advantage.
Well, I was actually going to ask. Obviously, we'll do the preview for tomorrow towards the end of the stream. But I was just going to quickly ask you all: do you think this is just a blip, or are we about to start a winless run that you know, potentially as long as the winning run?
Go on.
No, sorry, Rich.
No, I was just going to say no. I don't think it. I don't think it is. I think obviously, I think the football is still there, and what Lindsay's striving for. I just feel as if the players had an off day. He'd obviously made a few changes from the Grimsby game, and whenever you make any changes to a winning side, that's it. Even after Williams was on international duty, we still went away and we beat Grimsby. It wasn't pretty, but we still went away and beat them. So whenever you make changes, it's always a risk, and especially when you take a defensive midfielder off during the middle of a game and replacing them with a player that's only played probably about 25 minutes of football this season. It's always going to be a risk. But that's nothing new from Reed either. I was at the Eastleigh away game in pre-season, and he was mouthing off, and he's done that a lot this season as well. So
Yeah,
he looks like a quiet player, doesn't he? But
if the fourth official's telling you, mate,
oh no, and I again, like I say, yeah, if that is the case, I don't blame him. But maybe in that situation, maybe try and change the formation or something like that, because it's always quite a big risk. But those are the things that Lindsay will be learning each week. He'll be thinking, right, okay, so that didn't work well when we made that substitution. How can we make that better? Or you'd like to think that's probably going to be his philosophy going forward.
Is it just me though? I actually thought Ellis come on and did all right. I thought he showed a lot of energy in that middle. It's probably a new position for him. I thought he come on, showed a bit of energy. We all know he likes to tackle.
Yeah.
I'd
like to think he would.
I think it was a clever substitution from Lindsay. If Reed would have got sent off, everyone would be sat here now going, why didn't Lindsay hook him? Why didn't Lindsay take him off? And this is what I don't understand this at the moment, that we've gone on this run and there's still people that are just ticking away at Lindsay like they want him to go wrong. I don't understand. Yeah. I don't get it. Yeah. I honestly do not get it. And it really grates me. I got in the car when we were going home and the radio comments were, oh, we didn't deal with the set pieces, Lindsay out. And I was like, what? I said, you listen to the pre-match conference from Lindsay. And sorry, Fifey, if I'm going off here, but
no, mate, that's what you're invited to do.
But this is like everyone was going about the set pieces and going, well, we obviously haven't drilled that. And you listen to Lindsay's press conference before the game and after the game. We've worked on this all week, so I don't see what more the man can do without the individual errors on the pitch have cost us. So you can't blame Lindsay for that. That's an individual error. He's got no control over this at all.
And, yeah, 100%.
Warren, you make a good point. You make a good point of the fact that, that it's not just the case of, and this is what winds me up when people say it's bad defending. It's never good attacking from the opposition. It's never a good set piece from the opposition. You could work on something all week long like Lindsay did, but we did better. We didn't do very well with the set piece, but it was a good set piece. The error was giving the set piece away. It's their strength. Yes.
I said
last season.
I said straight away as soon as that set piece was given, I knew they were going to score. You could just see it was going to happen, and it was the most ridiculous foul as well as that was given away. And when you give away ridiculous fouls like that, you've got to take that on. You've got to take responsibility for that, and Blake Tracy should be taking responsibility, not Lindsay, for that. Like I say, you can sometimes you can work on set pieces till the cows come home, but when you get a set piece in a prime position like that, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to score. He hit the ball, he got it on target. There wasn't much the defense could do. Keeper couldn't save it. Right, we move on. But we should have kept our heads up and we should have pushed on and tried to get a second goal, like we did when we played against Grimsby the week before. We went 1-up. They equalised. We should have gone pressed to get that second goal, and we didn't do that. We sat back and we made another individual error, and they went and scored a second goal. And that's just it. That's just what happened. That's football at the end of the day. Those things happen, but you can't always blame the manager for situations like that. I think Lindsay has got a good philosophy going forward, and we've seen hints of that. Obviously, in the last few games, obviously Doncaster, Grimsby. So, and for Lindsay, he'll want to get it right. He'll want to push on. He'll want to try and get a response from his players, because he knows that there were some individual errors there. So I think that's all he's going to say in his pre-match tomorrow is, right, get a response, boys, and try and get back on the winning ladder and try and get us back up into where we should be in and around the playoff spots.
Yeah, that's why I said earlier that I hope Lindsay absolutely hammered the players after the game. They let him down big time, because what he'd said before and after the game was spot on. And as Rich has just said, to me, his credit is going up, and I really like listening to him in what he says. All of the things he said about shooting, crossing, defending, he's drilled that into the players, and I'm afraid they let him down big time Saturday. So, like everybody said, we need a massive reaction tomorrow, and I think it is a blip, and I think we can go on and we can get back on a decent run, but tomorrow. We need to win tomorrow. I don't know if it's a must win, but it's a big game.
Just before we move on, a couple of you mentioned in there with regards to McDonald. Warren, I think you were saying you read up on the pre-match interview, and there was a suggestion that the injury that he got in the game might not be as bad as first feared, and although out tomorrow, he could be back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I read Lindsay said that, and I think Ben said off camera as well that he said it didn't look likely that it needs an operation, which is great news. I think he's just been coming. I've always been a massive McDonald fan, since the day he walked through the door. I think he's, I think he'll be a big miss. It'd be interesting. We'll preview Newport in a bit, but it'd be interesting how we're going to set up, who's going to come in and stuff like that. But fingers crossed it doesn't look as bad as first feared. I think he's a bit of a warrior. Do you know what I mean? So I think he'll, if there's an opportunity to put off an operation, I think he'll want to be, straight back out on the pitch if he can. But he will be a miss tomorrow, in my opinion. And yeah, fingers crossed it's not for long, because we've got some big games coming up.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow we could go without him tomorrow, but somewhere like Stevenage on Saturday is going to be a game where we're going to need a leader like McDonald. And hopefully he'll be back fit for Saturday.
Okay, well, obviously we did the pre-recorded episode with Kean Harries on Friday night, so it's been a week since we've all been together live, and so much seems to have happened for us to kind of touch base on if we can. So I've got a few of the topics ticking along the bottom there. Ben, you obviously Hepburn Murphy, or Morphy Richards, as you better know him as. He's had some rotten luck, hasn't he?
I'm not going to live that down, am I?
No.
Old Morphy's struggled a little bit, hasn't he? Old Hepburn Murphy. No luck at all. I don't know if it's brought back because he was a bit too early, or the bloke's just made of glass. I don't know. But Takes, apparently he's out for snapping a tendon in his hamstring or something along the lines of that. Rotten luck. Luckily, it's nothing to do with his previous injury. I think maybe it's a case of just coming back a bit too early. We were all surprised when he came into Grimsby with half an hour to go, all thinking he might get the last 10 minutes or so. But hopefully he comes back in the new year, sharper, stronger, fully fit, and able to give us the push towards the playoffs or even beyond. But yeah, he's certainly got great talent, and we need him.
The thing is, Rich, even though he has literally only made cameo appearances, you can see that there is quality there, can't you?
Yeah, there's definitely a player there, and I think he's definitely got very similar attributes to what we had a certain player that we had last season in our squad. He's definitely got a hell of a lot of pace, and you can see the quality that he has with the ball at his feet. And there's goals in there as well. And I think that's probably the biggest shame for him as well. Like, he's just never really got going at any club. Injuries has always played a part in his career, which is obviously really annoying, shame. But again, that's football for you. And some players they can't live up to the bill what their potential was. But the guy's got a great attitude from what it sounds like, from what Lindsay said, and from what he spoke after, I think it was the EFL Trophy game. And, I'm really hoping that this is just a minor setback. I mean, obviously he was out for a good long time with his previous injury, and obviously got thrown quite into the deep end here. As Ben said, he probably did get rushed back a little bit too much, but also I feel as if that, I think now, like Ben said, hopefully just see him out until the new year, make sure that he's fully recovered, play him in some training games, play him in some reserve games, play him in any games that's under, and make sure that none of those injuries are niggling back at him. And then I think we might have a brand new player in January.
No, I completely agree. And I was really looking forward to the Hepburn, Murphy, Wakeling, Jeffcott trio being the one. So hopefully in the new year, that's what we'll see unleashed. I'm not necessarily going to do these in the order that they appear along the ticker, because we have to speak to Woody regarding Wakeling's new contract.
Oh, Wakeling. Well, what, if anything, a fantastic bit of business, really. We've spotted that he's gonna, he is gonna develop. He's only gonna get better. So we're making him almost invaluable, in terms of, the asking price will be on us now, So it's and like we say, if you mix that in with the latest news, we're no longer a club that are desperately trying to get hold of every penny we can. We will be a selling club. I think we'll always be a selling club, and we pretty much always have been. But it's fantastic, and fantastic for him as well, because leaving those kind of like academy structures like Leicester, he's reached what he thought when he was probably 18, 19 years old, I think, and he's probably thought, I'm at the top, I'm Premier League academy, and then just to end up kind of going, Ben's gone to sleep.
Ben's struggling tonight.
I'm still here.
And he's reached it, and it must be so horrible when you've worked so hard in your career, and then that's it. You're out of Leicester City's academy. So this must be brilliant for him, because it shows that the club value him, and he deserves it. He's a fan favourite, obviously not just my favourite, but he's a fan favourite. It's what we should have done with Jerry Yates, but it's at the end of the day, I'm absolutely chuffed. We're either going to sell him for a lot of money, or he's going to be a fantastic player for the next couple of seasons.
No, absolutely. I know the majority, if not all of us, were listening in to the fans forum the other day. I thought it was really good, with some really great points made, and it's only right that we touch base on a few of them. So Nick, I'll come to you first. No points deduction as part of the EFL investigation.
Yeah, obviously that's quite big news. I know, I think that was always the case, but there seemed to be a lot of worry in the fan base around that we would get a points deduction. So yeah, that's obviously good news. It's the last thing we need, or anybody needs. And I thought they handled the questions pretty well, and the things that came up, and like you say, that it's just all positive coming from the club at the moment. So I can't really add too much more to that. I didn't listen to all of it. I caught bits, so I'm probably not the best person to comment on it. So sorry about that. So.
No, not at all. Ned, we also got the news: deposit on the county ground to be paid by 31st of January. Another huge statement coming.
Absolutely. I'm like Nick. Oh, that way around. I'm like Nick. I didn't pay any attention to it whatsoever in any capacity. But putting the deposit down is great, because that sort of affirms that it's going to be happening. So that's another step in the right direction. And again, it's another reason why people can't question Clem. But yeah, because over the years we've had many pie in the sky sort of this is what's going to happen. We're going to have a new ground and blah blah blah. And you think, oh, is it really going to happen? Is it not going to happen? But this is like the statement to ensure that it definitely does. That's fantastic news.
Ben's disappeared, Warren. So the point that I know he would have been very happy to discuss, I'm going to pass over to you instead. No sign of the early kickoffs being brought in at SM1.
Yeah, it was a strange one, wasn't it? I just think Saturday at 3 o'clock. You've always known it to be that. I wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want it any different, would you? You know what I mean? That's what it's all about on a Saturday. People have their ways about going to watch football. You go up the pub, you go and have some lunch. I think you've got to remember as well, a lot of people work on a Saturday. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of people work half a day on a Saturday. I do. I work till 1 o'clock. So, you know what I mean? If they were to bring it forward, it would probably massively affect sort of that. So I think it needs to stay at 3 o'clock. You know what I mean? I know all the country, we're all going through tough times at the moment, but that football is still that common ground that everyone loves, don't they? And people make time for football. So I think it needs to stay, especially at the lower league level. You know what I mean? Saturday at 3, it's always been where it's at, and that's where it should stay.
Well, not from the forum, Rich, but announced shortly after. And it's worth commenting on because it was Swindon Town that were involved. Port Vale fined £15,000 for the crowd trouble in the playoffs.
I mean, do I have to really comment on this? I mean, like that.
I'd love it if you would, because I know what you think.
I mean, I just think it's absolutely shocking, really. I mean, like, I think somebody mentioned the other day about Huddersfield getting like a £70,000 fine or something like that, wasn't it? For exactly the same. In fact, probably Port Vale's was worse, especially some of the aspects. I mean. Some of us were there. I mean, me and Woody were there, and obviously we saw the post scenes of that, and it was just, I mean, the embarrassment will always be on Port Vale fans for that. They might not recognise it. They'll probably just sweep it off because they got promoted to League One. But we'll always remember it, and we won't remember the game or how it finished, but we'll always remember the post scenes of that. And those are the things that you don't really want to. Does it deserve a bigger fine? Yes, I think it does. Do I think all clubs should be treated equal? To a certain degree. I get that not all the clubs will have a lot of money as like Huddersfield will, but also I think if you can't penalise teams on cash, then they should be either points deductions or they should be playing games behind closed doors. So there should be some certain disciplines that Port Vale should have got that would have equaled to the £70,000 fine as to what Huddersfield got, because it just seems that it wasn't ideally, it was just done because Huddersfield have got more cash, and that shouldn't be the way it should be. I think all teams should be treated equal. All teams that did it committed the same crime. So I feel as if, I think the EFL should be reevaluating it. It's not going to happen now because it's all been and done now, I think. I think the police have obviously done their investigations on the fans that were committing whatever crimes it was. But I think that's the end of it now. But I think we'll always be, I think we've moved on. Port Vale have certainly moved on. So yeah, but I stick by what I say.
No,
I think either way, though, they can't have a whip round because there's no way that 15 of their loyal fans can afford 15 grand.
Ben, we've covered a number of topics in sort of quick fire fashion now. Was there any in particular you wanted to discuss?
No, really, just echo the thoughts of really what Rich said a minute ago. I think 15 grand is pathetic, really, for what happened. They actually physically attacked our players. They should have the book thrown at them for that. I think there should be 2 or 3 games behind closed doors. Maybe their fine shouldn't be as big as Huddersfield, because Obviously, Huddersfield are an established Championship side who can afford something like that. But 100 grand and 3-game ban, that certainly sets precedent, because that's what they need to do now, because they don't want it happening again next playoffs. I think that would have been apt and that would have been fair. But I don't know why other clean teams seem to get off lightly when we always seem to have the book thrown at us, but it's just one of them. Don't like
You always feel that you get it worse. I suppose that that they'll probably look at it, and when someone else gets punished, something and say,
yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I think maybe we're getting off lightly with the non-points penalty from the rule breakages. So you may be right.
Yeah, it's probably best we don't keep bringing that up, Ben, just in case. You never know who might be watching in the background. Woody, the other one I've got ticking along the bottom. The club announced today that the sensory packs they brought in at the start of this season, which we commented at the time were a great addition, they've now managed to roll out 200 of them.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I mean, my son's got one. It was a fantastic thing that the club offered. It was almost kind of a starting benchmark for the inclusivity at the club and all of that kind of stuff. I was a big fan when they released it. In fact, to be fair, the stuff they get in them is pretty cool. So even I would quite like some of it. But it engages those people to kind of, because the people that typically would require them won't have that kind of 90-minute attention span, but it gets them in there so that they understand. It's almost kind of a bit of false marketing in a way, because although it serves a fantastic purpose and shows where the club wants to do, it gets that fan who might sit there, who might struggle with 90 minutes concentration of watching the game, but for 10 minutes of that, they've had the time of their life watching the game, those type of things help towards, just as that builds up and up and up over time, 10 minutes becomes 20 minutes, 20 minutes becomes 45, and all of that kind of stuff. So, it was a fantastic move. I don't genuinely know if other clubs do it. I'm going to assume that they do. There will be other clubs that do it, but it was fantastic, and I'm pleased that it's been a very successful rollout, more than anything. So,
no, absolutely. Obviously, the fundamental purpose of why we do these streams and podcasts is because of our love of Swindon Town and football, and that's what we want to discuss. But it'd be remiss of us not to be aware of other social elements, particularly, obviously I'm out the loop up here in Leicester, but particularly for you guys living in amongst it. And Ned, I'll start with you. There was huge news in the week about Abbey Stadium, and I think it's only right that we give you guys a chance to comment on it if you so wish.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll comment, because I've been a Swindon Speedway fan for many years, ever since I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. Used to go watch Andy Silver, Gary and Martin Chesel, all these sort of names from years ago. It's just unbelievable that this is happening, because a lot of people called it several years ago, but it just pisses me off that, and I'm sorry if anyone's watching from around near the stadium, living near the stadium, but if you move to next to a fucking speedway track, you're gonna have the sound of motorbikes going off, and that's the reason why you bought your house for that price. Instead of 280,000, you bought it for 240,000, because you got fucking motorbikes going off. Don't piss around and complain the sound of the bikes. Oh no, don't complain. Oh, it's keeping me awake. What fucking move? Because you knew it was there in the first place. It's been there. What? I know that they've been using it certainly since the 60s, so it's not brand new news that there's motorbikes going around on a fucking Thursday at 7:30. Oh, it just pisses me off how. It's just corrupt. It's just they just wanted they bought that knowing that they're going to sell that for houses further down the line, and they've been leading us on a fucking merry-go-round for on headless chicken sort of run for fucking ages, thinking that we're going to have this new stadium, we're going to have all these things built. It's just an absolute piss take, and Swindon, let's just say we were probably the equivalent of, say, Tottenham or Arsenal in the Premier League. We're an absolutely fantastic team. We've been there for years, got such a rich history, and it's all been taken away because someone wants to make some blooming money. It just pisses me off. Unbelievable.
So you're kind of on the fence with it then, Ned, yeah? Mate, I love the passion in every single word you said then.
It's just unbelievable.
Would anyone else
Bless you,
like
Ned.
to follow on from that with their reaction to the news?
I'm not sure who could.
No.
No, I don't think I can. As
No.
much as I wanted to speak on this.
Wholeheartedly agree with Meg. Wholeheartedly
Ben.
agree with Ned. It's an absolute disgrace what's happened. Absolute disgrace.
I think it's just a sad, a really sad state of affairs for Swindon sport in general, to be honest. I mean, I was a Speedway fan, we could kind of see some troubles when they stepped out of the Elite League, and, it doesn't fill me with any, and I know I'm not going to turn it into a political argument, but it doesn't fill me with any confidence, because we're talking that Wildcats have already volunteered relegation before, because of potential money issues. And it fears me with dread that at some point Swindon Town football club might be the only sporting, I guess, elite level, if you want to call it, that we could have left. I was, I wouldn't say I was a diehard Swindon Speedway fan, but I went a lot and I really enjoyed it every time I went. I used to live on Thames Down Drive, and it almost made me gutted that I wasn't there when I could hear the Speedway, when I could hear the bikes going round. But I just feel sorry. I do feel sorry for a lot of season ticket holders there that, for kind of holding on with that kind of glimmer of hope that it might happen. I just hope that they do find somebody who's hopefully a massive motor racing fan, who might just have a bit of money that might be able to put something somewhere else. I mean, Abbey Stadium had its problems anyway, minus, I guess, the locals and the fact it was bought out. That it did need reinvestment in, even from the greyhound racing point of view, it needs reinvestment. But there's, you think of the likes of like Lee Adams and all the riders that have been there in the time that I was able to watch them. I was there that night when we won the first time we had won at Swindon for, what was it, since the 60s or whatever, the first time we had actually won the league at Swindon. And it's it is a shame, because it feels like it's a slow dying breed of sport in the town, and I just hope that we as a town we kind of pull out of this at some stage. We've got to, we surely have hit a low now. We've seen our most you could argue probably one of our most successful sports teams now fold. The Wildcats, they took the voluntary relegation, I think it was 5 years ago now, 6 years ago, because they couldn't really compete with the wages in the top league. And we almost lost our football club. It's I think hopefully the football club coming out of this will start to engage other things, because there's people that go to football that went to Speedway on a Thursday night because there's no football on a Thursday night. So they went to Speedway on a Thursday night, football at the weekend. You might go to the Wildcats or the ice hockey straight after us after the football on a Saturday, and it just all used to flow nicely. I know people that were absolutely mental and just went to so many different Swindon sports, and I would love it to just come back. Like when we lost even the extremes of a bloody basketball team. Where are they nowadays? They're playing at a school. They were once lighting up the Link Centre with, a few hundred there and things like that. So I really, really hope we pull through this kind of really dark period, I guess, as a town. I just hope someone out there's got to have money. Please get Swindon Speedway back in Swindon, because it would be brilliant. We don't want, Oxford to be taken over the Speedway scene. So please, if you've got money and you're watching Fools Rushing podcast, it's an investment. It's an investment you want to make.
With what Woody said, I mean, like, with all the things that are all council owned, it just makes the announcements from this last week so much more important, because you've got no faith that the council will take care of the sports around Swindon. As you said about the Link Centre, that's owned by that other company now, isn't it? And they were saying that Link Centre and Milton Road Bath are the next ones that they're starting to think that they can't afford to keep running. So if the Link Centre goes, then that means obviously that the Wildcats go. And then God knows else is going to happen to all the other leisure facilities in Swindon. What if all the leisure facilities in Swindon close down? Then God knows what's going to happen with all the youth who have got nowhere to go. I mean, it's just horrendous. It's unthinkable. But yeah, I mean, Swindon Speedway closing down is just it's unforgivable. It's unforgivable. It's like as I said, it's like Tottenham or Arsenal going out of business in the Premier League, just dropping out because they wanted to sell the ground for houses. It's not. You'd never hear of it. You'd never hear of it. But
No,
they're also they're so because of the numbers have dwindled over the years. From say like 15, 20 years ago. There's no way there's enough money in that sport for us to go and make some create another stadium somewhere else, even if it was on really really cheap land. It just wouldn't happen. There's not enough money. But yeah, it's very sad. It's very sad.
it certainly is. And when I'm reading these things and thinking about it, the point that Woody makes is I completely understand why those who were invested in Speedway. I mean, I'll be honest, I was happy to see Swindon doing well, but I never went. I can't say I was a Speedway fan, but I was a big advocate for Swindon Robins, Swindon having a team, and they had a very successful period, while I was living there. But the wider does concern me, as Woody was saying. You've got the Link Centre. I think Ned said about that as well. You've seen what's happened to, and I don't want to get into the political debate. You've seen what's happened to Oasis. There's so many concerning areas, and unfortunately, it is a depiction of society at the moment. I think Swindon is depicting it in such a way. It really is unfortunate, and I just hope, as Woody said, that there comes a point where we start getting that upward trajectory again, and we can continue to have sport and good level sport, and not just football, but in all different areas played in and around the town, because it's vital for so many things, not just the sport itself, but for so many other things to do with infrastructure and economy and things. So let's hope we can see shoots of recovery in local sport sooner rather than later. Woody, let's come back to you then and have the update on Swindon Town women this week. There was a late postponement.
Yes, a late postponement.
Moneyfield.
Obviously, the first team was supposed to play Moneyfield, the game that I was actually quite looking forward to seeing how we did. Obviously, Rich will know that Moneyfields were quite a rival of mine for a few seasons at Abingdon. But their game was called off because the pitch got a battering overnight or something, and I think it kind of alludes
on that nice sunny.
Yeah, and it alludes it, and I'm trying not to rant because we just had a rant already, but it alludes back to that kind of trying to
rant away, Woody.
Trying to change attitudes. It reverts back to that trying to change attitudes. If that was a men's game, they wouldn't have hesitated. I guarantee. I didn't see the pitch, admittedly. I haven't seen what the pitches look like, but I cannot see how Portsmouth had worse weather than Southampton, Bournemouth, who all have fixtures surrounding them. It is that kind of. I can't remember what the name of the club is that they were playing that Moneyfield to play at, but they take in the women's team, knowing that the women's team are going to be playing every Sunday, and it's almost like a little bit of rain, let's not damage the pitch and ask the women not to play on it. And it generally feels like, and that's what I was referring to. Sometimes investment doesn't always come with money. Investment just comes with a change of attitude. I could be wrong. I could hold my hands up. They might tweet this and they might see something and say, actually, no, look at this. There's a big water puddle in the middle of the pitch. Then they need to sort their drainage out. But at the same time, it's just kind of, it's ridiculous, really. It's a team called Muddy. Sorry, I think that should be on the main chat, Ned. Is the team called Muddyfields? You say
Love that, Ned.
There was one game that I played down at Muddyfields with the guys, and the pitch was with the women, and the pitch was dreadful. It was literally a mud bath. But that was down at Muddyfields Football Club, which is currently under development. So yeah, the change in attitude, it would have been a hell of a spectacle to watch, I think. And obviously not great considering the first team are looking to kind of bounce back after the cup loss last week. The development hosted Portsmouth. I wasn't there, as you guys know, because I was watching American football in London, and so it's they lost 1-0, which is given the current run of results they've had is a good. It's not bad. Improvement wise, I haven't even watched the footage back yet, so I wouldn't even be able to comment if we played very well or not, if I'm brutally honest. But yeah, so all things look ahead to this weekend, where we've realised that we've got 2 change strips between 3 teams, and all 3 teams need to change strip. So that could be interesting. So yeah, the first team are away to Southampton, women, not Southampton Football Club women, and the devs. Unfortunately, my joint manager is on holiday this weekend, so I'm taking them up to Stourbridge, in the League Plate. Sorry, and what else was there? And the under-18s have got Chesterton, which will be a very difficult game, so that'd be quite an interesting result to look out for.
Well, good luck to all the teams. I hope the, let's call it, logistical issue gets resolved with relative ease for you, Woody. And good luck, because obviously joint managers, it's not often that you'll be taking a sole charge approach. So enjoy.
No, Ethan's turn was last weekend. My turn's this weekend, so it'll be we'll have a look, see what happens. Although my think it was a lot harder.
Well, good luck to all of the teams for this coming weekend, that is sure. Let's look ahead then to tomorrow night and the rearranged Newport game. I'll start with Nick. You assured us, for anyone who didn't see the Key and Harry's episode, and again, forgive me if I don't quote it exactly right, Nick, but you said something along the lines of, Northampton aren't very good, they only beat bottom 6 clubs. So should we be going into this game with a bit of trepidation?
What I said was true. They did only beat bottom
At the
8 clubs
time.
at the time. I still say they're not a very good side, and I don't think they'll be there at the end of the season. They're just a horrible side. That's my worst side I ever want to see again. So hopefully they bomb out. But Tuesday, as I said earlier, I think it is. We need to win. I don't think it's a must win because it's still early in the season and there's a lot of games to play. Obviously, a defeat would do us a lot of harm, but and it'll be interesting to see what team he puts out. The way he was speaking, it seems Bowdry's going to play because he talked about having experience in the team, needing experience alongside the young players. So that tells you. And he said he was just ill on Saturday. That's why he wasn't in the squad. So it looks like he'll play. It'll be interesting if he brings Khan back in and then what he does with Reed and whether he stays in. And then you've got Iandolo. Obviously, he had a few minutes out on Saturday. So I think we've got, again, on paper, we've got a decent side. And I don't think we can play as bad again Tuesday as we did on Saturday. So I'm confident we've got enough to get the win, but the players have got to step up. And they, as I said earlier, they owe Lindsay big time, and they need to make amends for what was just a terrible, terrible performance on Saturday. So I should be there. I should be cheering them on, and I'm as confident as one can be, being a Swindon supporter, that we'll get a win.
Okay.
And for fuck's sake,
what's it?
don't give him a chicken pie as well.
No, I'm
Swindon.
I'll have a fucking burger
Yeah.
this time, and then I'll get see what it is.
Nick, they got a special tomorrow on chicken burgers.
Yay! Great.
Wazza, you going into this one optimistic?
Yeah, I think so. I can't. You know, I mean, Leighton Orient's bubble was going to burst on Saturday. I think everyone looks at the result and thinks, "Oh my gosh, Newport, it could be a tough game." They are a tough side. I've said on the preview, when we did the preview for the league, I really do rate their young manager that they've got in charge. I think he plays a good start. He wants them to get the ball down. They play, interestingly, they do play a 3-5-2. So it's going to be interesting to see whether we'll stick with our games. I can't see us trying to match them up or anything like that, but it'll be interesting to see how it's played during the game. They're a good footballing side. They get the ball down. They play it the right way, which I think will suit us, because I think we want to do that as well. So it could be a good, entertaining game of football, and not like the drivel we saw on Saturday. Do I think we're going to win? I think the team needs a good freshen up. I think some of it there could be a few niggles from Saturday that you wouldn't know about. There was a lot of challenges. Northampton are like we've said earlier, they're a shithouse side. It was a very physical side of the game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Khan come back in. We didn't see an awful lot of Darcy on Saturday. You know what I mean? So I think I wouldn't be surprised to see Khan come back in for Darcy. I don't think Reed and Gladwin are droppable unless they're injured or suspended. In Lindsay's eyes, I think that if they're fit, they play. I think Bowdry will come back in, like Nick said. I fancy us tomorrow. I think we need the win. I think everyone will be on side, and I agree with Nick. They owe Lindsay a performance after Saturday. The players need to roll up their sleeves and take on board what the manager gives, because he's given them the information, and it's whether they take it on board or not. So, yeah, I think we'll win tomorrow, and we much need it.
How are you feeling, Rich?
Yeah, I think we're going to bounce back. I like to think we will anyway. You know, I think we might actually get a bit of stability at the back tomorrow with Frenchie coming back in. I said at the Doncaster game when McDonald actually went off, when Bowdry came on, we didn't actually look like, I'm not going to say it actually, I'm going to actually bite my tongue on this just because, but when we were playing against Doncaster.
No, go on, Rich, say it, because I want to jump down your throat.
I'm not gonna say this is gonna happen tomorrow, but when Bowdry came on, when Bowdry came on against Doncaster, we didn't look like conceding at all. We looked like that we had stability at the back. Him and Clayton were both communicating extremely well, and we deserved to win that game. So I'd love to see Bowdry come back in and put in an even better performance than he did against Doncaster, and keep that stability in the back, and hopefully try and keep a clean sheet like we did there. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, because, like I say, that might have just been a one-off. I mean, Doncaster weren't a very good side, but they still had chances. But I'm hoping he'll be able to keep Newport's front two quiet tomorrow. So we'll wait and see. But I like to think I'm very optimistic about it. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm gonna be there tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure yet. But it's not looking likely. But hopefully they can get the win back.
Would any absence have anything to do with something that was put out on Twitter about 17 minutes ago?
I cannot confirm, unfortunately, at the moment. I really can't.
Okay. Ned, are you feeling optimistic?
Yes.
Good.
Because you can't help but feel optimistic against a shit team with a Omar Bogle up front. So, you know, I've been saying that for
All in
about
there.
three different teams. So it's bound to happen at some point. And finally, I'm going to have the correct player for the correct team, because obviously Omar Bogle has played for Doncaster and God knows who else this season, and I've completely got that wrong. Yeah, I do fancy us tomorrow. I think I would like to see Cian Harries come in, personally. And you know, it's probably the best time of any for Cian Harries to come in and mark an absolute shit striker like Omar Bogle. All I can say is Leighton Orient must have played real bad. They must have been bloody rubbish.
Like
'Cause
we were.
Yeah, Newport are bloomin' shit. So I fully expect us to win tomorrow, and I expect it to be convincing as well.
Hashtag no filter Ned.
I was going to say, I feel like at some point this evening I've poked the bear in Ned, and he's just gone off on one.
Newport's getting the brunt of my Swindon Speedway frustration. There we go.
Let's throw it over to Woody then. Where do we need to be careful? Is this like Northampton? We know what their strengths are, and we've just got to avoid playing into them.
Well, Omar Bogle's going to get a hat trick. That's for sure.
Yeah, but Adeloy might be fit again to come off the bench and get one himself.
He's more likely to score for them.
He could be.
Yeah. There's the winner for Newport. No, he's not. That's harsh. I'll take that back. I'm really worried because I said that we would win one of these games 2-1 and the other game 4-0. Obviously, we've lost 1-2-1, so I'm a little bit petrified about what tomorrow could bring. I can't go because I've got training, but I might make a last-minute decision to have a little sneaky preview in. Newport, aren't they? They are quite similar to Northampton. It's just I think Northampton are currently doing it better. So yeah, again, avoid set pieces. They got a good young manager. Still matey boy in it that took over from Flinney. I think we will win, and I kind of disagree a little bit with Nick. I think it is a must-win, but mainly just because I see every game as a must-win. But also on the aspect of that, I just think let's get this trajectory back up again. Let's bounce back. And I agree with the earlier points that they said that Lindsay identified that he identified very well on Saturday what went wrong. In my opinion, it was for me one of his best post matches. And you could almost hear him telling them that in the changing room as well. So yeah, I just think we bounce back. I think we'll win 3-0. I'm still going to go with a high score line. One of these games is going to be a high score line this week. So I'm going to go for 3-0.
I can't remember what the decision was, but is this where we start Ben off on one of the difference between must wins and what was the other term? Need to wins, kind of. Ben, I've made you wait very patiently again.
I'm not going to get sucked into a debate with Woody. I'm going to say it's important.
Okay. I'm going to debate this for Ben. I'm going to debate this for you a second, Ben. You talk about momentum. We have got a month now where we've got about 8 games. There's nothing more important than starting that month off with a win. That's all I'm going to say on that.
I agree. I agree. I think we need to get back on the horse straight away. I think it's very important that we do, because if we don't, it means we've got to go to Stevenage and possibly win just to keep in touch with the top 7. So it's important that we do bounce back with a win. I like to think we can. I think we've definitely got the ability to win. I think we need to play considerably better than we did on Saturday. I think we need to move the ball about quicker and with more purpose. and I think we need to start fast and hard at them. But if we do that and we get up amongst it and we can get a goal early, then there's no reason why we can't run comfortable winners. But if it gets to half time, it might get a bit tense. It's still 0-0.
Okay, let's go around quickly then and get score predictions. Let's start with Wazza.
2-0 Swindon.
Ben?
1-0 Swindon.
Ben's in that room again where he's streaming live from a different time zone.
I
Rich?
get the feeling he's in the doghouse again for some reason. But I mean, to be fair, I don't blame Sarah, but I sometimes get the feeling that he's in the doghouse.
He's
again.
got that dodgy Craig Wi-Fi tonight.
Yeah. I think I'd like to think that we're going to win 2-0 tomorrow. I think we'll respond quite well. So fingers crossed.
Okay, Woody.
Yeah, 3-0. 3-0. I'm going for it. 3-0.
Nick.
Yeah, I see Craig's just flashed up 2-1, which is what I was going to go for, and he's our most spot on person for predictions. I'm with him.
I was going to say 2-1, and then I felt as if I might contradict myself with what I said about Frenchie earlier. Stability at the back, so I felt as if, I better go 2-0.
So unless I've got confused here, Ned, are you going for full house of wins?
4-0, 3 goals in the first half, 1 in the second. Bosh.
What, to Newport, Ned?
4-0 Swindon.
Bogle.
God.
Ned's clearly had the East
bollard.
Midlands derby on the background. And been inspired
I'm off
by
the book.
Leicester.
He's stick tenor on him, by the way.
Ned, if
The only-
Bogle scores tomorrow, can you put him as your profile picture for a month?
A month. Go on then. Yeah, why not? The only way he scores is if someone kicks it off him. He's just happens. He's not even looking in the right direction. He's just like walking away. It comes
Ned.
off the back of his head or something.
Ned, he's played 11 games this year for him and he's scored 6. I don't think he's as bad as you think.
He's terrible. I'm sorry. He's awful.
Like,
He's so bad.
Is he as bad as
Really?
Adeloy?
As much as
Adeloy?
as much as I love Ned to bits, he's not a great judge of a footballer because he's got shade on the back of his shirt, but keeps rinsing me for Adeloy.
Shade's great. What are you chatting about?
Sade.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Sade when he's great, Shade when he's shit.
Well, quite.
Definitely
Hence
a
why.
smooth operator.
So it has to be said on that. I was saying off camera, I did get very confused because I had the audio on for the game on Saturday, and I have to say Bowden was on it and was superb. His tactical analysis was brilliant to listen to. But I did get confused that I'd been getting it wrong all season because there were 3 separate occurrences where they referred to Tony Shade, and I was like, who the fuck is Tony Shade? And I was like, have I been saying it wrong? I'm sure his name is Tyrese. But no, they said it 3 different times, and I had to check that I hadn't got it wrong because they kept referring to. The first time was when he was coming on. They said Tony Shade is coming off the bench. I'm like, who the fuck is Tony Shade?
They also
So
got
honestly-
Ademayo wrong, didn't they, as well? And the announcer.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah.
That.
He's only been at our club 2 years.
Oh, funny.
Jesus.
Right, let's move on to the final topic for tonight, and it's everyone's favorite section, the questions from the audience. We've had a couple sent in again. Here's Team Ned with regards to Bogle.
Brilliant.
We've had a couple of questions. The first one, I'm going to allow a team effort. However, Nick, you're going to be captain for the team, and all the pressure's on you to begin with, and then you let us know if you need any help. Because John has asked me to go back to the Premier League era.
Oh.
Indeed. Oh, there was oohs. And he has asked me, because he backs you guys to know this, there were 11 players to score for Swindon in the Premier League. Can you name all 11?
Well, I would need help because sadly I only saw 2 games in the Premier because of circumstances.
Oh,
One game when we lost 4-0 at home to Arsenal, and reading Tony Adams' book, he said that was the only time he misjudged being on the piss, and he was actually pissed when he come on the pitch. And then the other one was the last game of the season when we won at QPR.
So you can name some goal scorers then.
Yeah, Ian Wright.
No. Was the best goal I've seen at the county ground, though. To be fair.
I've also, if it helps, if you really want to challenge yourselves, I've been sent them in order of when they scored. So does anyone remember who the first player to score for Swindon in the Premier League?
Actually, I did go to that guy at Sheffield United, wasn't it, away?
John Moncur scored the first goal.
Yeah.
Moncur is correct, Ben. Well done. Who was second?
Yeah, Sheffield United. Free kick. Yeah. Second was Nicky Subby.
No, not even on the list.
Free kick against Man City.
Not even on the list. What are we talking
Nicky
about?
Subby scored that season.
Nicky Subby got a couple at least.
Premier League scores.
Nicky
Subby scored against Man City. 3-1 defeat.
Oh, hang on. No, ignore me. Yeah. He was the second, though. I was reading the wrong part of the list.
Yeah. Who scored our second goal? Craig Maskell against Southampton.
Maskell is correct.
What a mate.
Consolation. Yeah, we got Dick 5-1. Trying to get through the gaps in my head.
I can't believe Ben's remembering this.
He's reading the comments. He's blatantly reading the comments.
He's going.
The dual draw of Newcastle, and that was Martin Ling and Andy Murch.
Yep.
Oh, it's got much.
Is that right?
Yep. You've done well, Ben. That's 5 so far. Considering this was Nick's question, he was going to shout up for help. Ben's just interrupted as standard.
I told you I needed all the help in the world. When did
I'll let Nick carry on.
No, there's no point because I haven't got a clue, to be honest.
Anyway.
Go on, Ben. See if you can get all 11.
Right,
didn't Laurie Sanchez get one?
Taylor.
Oh, hang on. There was a couple of people talking there.
Yeah, definitely Taylor scored.
Are we talking the first 11 goal scorers, or are we talking...
No, there were only 11 goal scorers.
I was going in order.
Oh, right, okay. I can't go in order.
Sean Taylor scored against Everton.
Taylor is on the list, but there is one in between Much and Taylor.
It's got to be Nyholt or someone like that.
Paul Bowden?
Nyholt is on the list, but he's last. Bowden, yes, is the one between Much and Taylor. 3 more to go.
Whitbread?
Whitbread is on there. He's the penultimate goal scorer.
Fjortoft.
Fjortoft is before Whitbread. 1 more.
We've already said
Keith Scott.
Scott is correct. There is all 11.
Yeah. That it?
Cheers, Ben. Thank you.
Do you know, incidentally, that season we only scored 8 less goals than Arsenal.
Yeah, the problem was conceding about 100 more.
Yeah, we did concede. That was the problem. But
for those of you who weren't cheating,
all attack mode.
For those of you who weren't cheating, we did get this come through in the chat. We had I've got one too many. Craig Maskell in the 5-1 against Southampton. Keith Scott. Jan the man. So there was another Ben actively answering the question. The other one, is it 2? Hang on, I just need to check because Mike has done his usual and sent us one in ready. Okay, here you go, and it's a chance to be creative. It was sent to me in a couple of different messages, so I'm going to read it as it was sent. I've had an idea for a discussion for you if we get a quiet week. Well, this has been far from it, so I thought I'd throw it in now anyway. We've got Super Scotty Lindsay. He knows exactly what we need. McDonald at the back, Wakeling in attack, etc. Now, Macari had Calderwood at the back, Bamber in attack. Ozzy and Hoddle had Calderwood at the back, Shearer in attack. Gorman had Taylor and Fjortoft. There are some obvious ones. But what about the managers in between Gorman and Lindsay? Who did they have in that chant?
The Canio had Komatsu at the back.
Clark in attack.
And Karush in
Which lucky
attack.
manager? Which lucky manager had Lancashire?
Brown.
Flitcroft.
Brown.
Flitcroft, wasn't it?
Flitcroft and Brown. Flitcroft and Brown.
Yeah.
Sturrock had Sturrock in attack.
True story.
So we're thinking any obvious ones. I mean, there's got to be. I'm trying to think who the centre backs were, sort of around Parkin era and Austin's era, and
Danny
Sorry,
Wilson at the
Gordon
back.
Greer was at the back.
Yeah,
Greer, yeah.
Jean-Francois.
Oh, Greer, what a player.
What a
That's the
player.
one we should
Gordon
never
Greer.
have sold.
Loved Gordon
Greer.
Greer.
Paul Hart had Benyon in the attack.
what about Morris Malpass?
Oh.
Gerald Eiffel.
Simon Cox.
Gerald Eiffel.
Eiffel at the back, Cox in attack.
Right for the back.
Eiffel said Malpass was the most boring man he'd ever met in his life.
Well,
When he
he's
did
never had
podcast.
the pleasure of actually meeting me. We spoke online a few times, but
No, you far from it, Fofi, far from it.
What about?
He's a legend at
McDonald?
Dundee, isn't he? Old Morris Malpass.
Oh, Joffrey.
One of his old clubs.
Joffrey.
Oh, Joffrey.
Well, I think that's what this guy means. A Joffrey. Yeah. Oh, what a player.
Yeah. Hansi El Joffrey.
Yeah.
Cooper had Thompson at the back.
Thompson at the back. Well, he didn't. Let's be honest. He was always injured.
Yeah, oh yeah, true.
We're just working out who was at the back and up front for Lee Power.
Stephen Mann.
It's a fat wallet in his back pocket.
Under Lee Power, we had Tim Sherwood at the back and Tim Sherwood in attack.
Brilliant.
And on the bench as well, we had Tim Sherwood. Yeah.
Lee Power did manage us for
Ben,
2 games. as
Ben,
well.
who fits in there for the Sheridan era?
Oh shit.
Fuck.
Nobody at
Yeah,
the back and
yeah,
Pittman
no,
in
We've
attack.
also got,
I was going to say he had
Rock
Anthony
Solid
Grant at the back, didn't he?
Conroy.
He had Rock Solid at the back.
Oh yeah, Taylor Curran.
Taylor Curran, yeah.
Yeah,
Taylor Curran at the back.
Taylor Curran at the back.
Taylor Curran and Jamie
And-
Pittman. What a
Yeah.
fucking combination that
Jamie
was.
Pittman.
Curran and
attack.
Pittman, yeah.
They're both, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Taylor Curran and Jamie Pittman.
All the money I wasted on watching that lot.
Andy King era, you go in with, I don't know, Hayward and Parkin.
Andy Gurney
team
was there,
it?
then,
Which
wasn't he?
era? Exactly,
Gurney?
yeah.
Gurney at the back, Parkin in the attack.
Yeah.
We've got Super King, Smoky Big Fatty.
Mooney up front.
Mooney.
Mooney.
It wasn't Jamie.
Rooney.
Jamie Pittman was that midfielder for Hereford and stuff, wasn't it? It was Brett Pittman.
It was Brett
Brett
Pittman.
Pittman,
I was
yeah,
just
Brett
leaving them
Pittman.
to it.
Yeah.
That's like
Jamie Pittman.
Jamie Pittman.
Brett Aitken.
We've got Super Colin Todd. Who did Colin Todd out? Colin
Wow.
Todd.
Excuse me.
Oh, he was terrible.
What about under Ifianora?
Andy Todd at the back.
In the league with him as well. Andy Todd at the back.
Ifianora had Ron Atkinson at the back.
Egan.
We've got Super Roy Evans. Razor at the back.
Ruddock at the back.
Yeah. Ruddock at the back. Razor.
Wow.
Razor Ruddock at the back eating pies.
Ruddock in attack. Ruddock's
The
arse in
specialist
fat
fit
at the
short.
Yeah.
His ass at the back.
Oh, yeah.
Roy Evans.
Dennis Wise era.
Roy
We've
Evans.
skipped past Dennis Wise.
Oh yeah, who was at the back? Wise, Curitan in attack.
Dennis Wise.
Oh, fucking hell.
Curitan in attack.
What a run Wise he had though.
He's played for everyone, Jimmy Curitan. He's probably still playing now. He's
retired now,
getting
any
the game now,
Curitan?
Jimmy Curitan.
I thought
Who do we have at the back? That
What,
Well,
and
Paul
Dennis
Ince was in
Wise?
midfield briefly, wasn't he?
Ince, I remember going to Wrexham away and Ince come on. Yeah. Oh my god, that is a moment. That
Won us a penalty against MK Dons. Last ever game.
Oh,
ever.
what a great point, Brezovan. Yeah,
What a keeper.
what a keeper.
I was there for his
There was
debut
two
penalty
penalty saves on
heroics.
debut.
What a
Two
guy.
penalty saves on debut. Peter Brezovan. He couldn't speak English. Peter Brezovan. I was seeing a Slovakian girl at the time. So I was like, hey, Slovakian.
Does Sarah know about this?
Question marks there.
That was like 1997. 2007. So.
Fucking 1997!
I was going to say, Ben, I wasn't 5 when he played hard.
2000.
I was like, even I remember Peter Brezovan, but I wasn't 1 year old.
Her name wasn't Petra Brezovan, and you only saw her at the weekends.
Her name's Anya. I can't remember her surname.
Nick, do you want to go back to any of the older eras to fill in the chant at all?
Wisey had Eiffel, didn't he?
Older eras. No, I can't even think of anything now. It's too late. Oh, my brain's gone. Sorry. Stan Harlan, Peter Noble. That's the two. There you are. Won't get two better players than that.
Well, you wait till we've sold. You wait till everyone else's predictions come true, Nick. We've sold Wakeling for 5 million. We're in the Premier League in 6 years. We're signing all sorts of players.
Stuff the Premier League. We'll stay in the Championship.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's not get Craig on his soapbox again. He went off on one on the Premier League the other week, didn't he?
In 5 years' time, there won't be a Premier League, will it? It'll be Europe League.
Oh, Nick.
Listen, gents, as always, it's been great having you on what is essentially the kickoff show for a mental month. I mean, we've already commented on some of the fixtures STFC have got this month, but coming up on Fools Rush In, we have opposition fans confirmed, I think, for 4, possibly 5 fixtures already this month. We've got debutantes laid up, prepared. What's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, we've got debutants ready to make their Fools Rush In debuts, obviously. And no promises yet, but we are still working on more guests because the ones that we've had already with Stendhal's White and Summer and Keane Harry's last week have been quite popular. So we're hoping to get more. But if there's anything, that you'd like to see us do, you'd like to see us try and arrange, then by all means, as always, let us know. As much as we enjoy doing this, we love putting the show on for you guys. We want it to be the best it could possibly be. Anyone going tomorrow night, enjoy. Let's get back on the winning run, back amongst the points.
Yeah.
And we will be back on Friday night to review what happens tomorrow, and also to look ahead to the weekend's game, which, judging by everyone's reaction, we're going to get fucking hammered because everyone's been so anti-playing Stevenage. But from myself, from Warren, Ben, Nick, Woody, Rich, and Ned, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you Friday. Good night.
Squeeze them tight.
Take my hand, take my whole life too, but I can't help falling